Hey, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today, in this episode, we're going to talk about the importance of ongoing, consistent marketing, even if you rely on word of mouth as one of your best lead sources. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris. I hope you're doing well today, this morning, this evening, whenever you're listening to this episode. Nick, how are you today?
Right now is very good because it's nice and sunny outside. There's that thing called sun. Because we have been inundated with rain, and I don't think I can do any more rain.
Finished for
rained out.
Rained out.
I heard a thing the other day that said we've had in New South Wales 1 year worth of rain in 3 weeks.
Really?
1 year worth of rain in 3 weeks. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of rain, man.
Wow.
That's heaps, huh?
Yeah, it is a lot. So hopefully no more rain for the rest of the year.
Hopefully no more rain, yeah. And, you know, rain makes you depressed, right? I reckon I get a little bit depressed when it's too rainy.
I enjoy the rain, but I don't enjoy it after 3 weeks. It's been...
Is that what it is? I enjoy the rain, but I don't enjoy it.
When it rains occasionally, I feel like it freshens
exactly.
the air,
freshens everything
it waters everything down, it washes the road. You feel good. It's like a
But after 3 weeks, you're like dead.
But after 3 weeks, far out. Even after a weekend, I'm like, okay, 2 or 3 days is probably enough now. Everything's watered. Let's get back to some sunshine.
Yeah, especially with your kids.
That's right. Yeah. And for those of you that have small children, you know what I'm talking about. Kids inside for any longer than a weekend, they're bouncing off the walls. You can't wait for school to start. Cannot wait.
We need to do a podcast. Why parents need their kids to go to school.
That's right.
Why parents' sanity is reflected upon, school.
It's funny because today's like the first Monday of school holidays for New South Wales for my kids. So luckily it's sunny. They can go outside, jump on the tram, kick a ball, whatever they want.
My kids too, but my kids are older. So
they're not doing those activities inside because
that's
tough. Yeah. That's going to be on our parenting podcast.
Our parenting podcast coming to you shortly. Yeah, exactly.
Coming to you shortly, where we discuss and whinge about
exactly.
the pains of parenting.
Yeah, perfect. It's called the Whinge Fest. Yeah,
the Whinge Fest. That's right. Cool. I'm glad the sun's shining today, Nick. You wanted to talk about why doing consistent levels of online and offline marketing is always a good thing for business, for any business, even if a lot of your lead sources or a lot of your traffic is from a referral based or word of mouth based lead sources, and why it's so important to keep pushing that marketing pedal to make sure that you're generating enough lead flow. So did you want to start off, maybe build some context initially and explain why we're kind of stepping into this? Why is it important? For anyone listening, if you only rely on word of mouth referral sources or leads for your business, you may want to write some stuff down.
Yeah. Well, let's start here. I mean, effectively, the lead source that comes from a referral or word of mouth is always going to be a good lead source. Mm-hmm. So I need to kind of set that up. I'm not saying that you give up that. Most businesses work very hard to be able to do that. Work very hard to establish their foot in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. What I am saying is that there's benefits of doing both. Mm-hmm. Work with a company, they're in the event space, they do a lot of repeat business. And big clients, Porsche, Formula One Grand Prix, that was just on, V8 supercar racing, they've got Mercedes-Benz, they've got a lot of different clients. And, they usually have the events every year, or there's a new something that they're, setting up, or, there's a new car that they're releasing, or there's whatever. So, think of that. That's always going to be a word of mouth point.
Sure.
But there's other opportunities for us to be able to, grow to that next level. Mm-hmm. Now, let me give you an example. So I got another client that started, they've been 10 years in the business, very, very good reputation as a builder, and they get word of mouth, right? People love their work.
Yep.
But we wanted to open up different divisions in the business, and we didn't have word of mouth to be able to get those divisions open. So what did we do? Well, we started advertising, and it's exploded. They've got 3, 4, 5 different subbies that work for them. They represent the company. We manage all the lead flow for them, do whatever it needs to get the appointment. They go out, do the appointment. They then do a quote. We look after the quote, put our little clip on the ticket, and then go from there. And it's been working very, very well. Very happy. People are happy. They represent the brand, and it's seamless. Now, that's an income source that could have never always come from just referral or word of mouth. You'd have to try to build those arms up, and we don't even want employees in that arm. We just want other businesses that are referral partners with us, and we're cool. There's a criteria and all of that stuff. So we've used them, and I won't go into that, but it just goes to show you once again the opportunity for us to be able to work on something like that using a different level of lead flow, if you want to think about it like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Which is cool. So look, I'd like to break it down. I mean, why do we do it? First of all, number one is it avoids ebbs and flows. If you're being reactive from, a workflow coming in or a referral, lead source coming in, from an area that's just word of mouth, so to speak, it's difficult for you to kind of control what the ebb and flow is, because sometimes people are going to reach out or refer somebody or give you a word of mouth or whatever, and other times you don't know. So come times where it's Easter or Christmas or Christmas holidays or school holidays or any of that stuff, maybe a lot of that flow stops, especially if as an example, you've done a job for some school mums, or they're at that sort of school mum age, then for 2 weeks they're not going to see anyone until they get back into it. They may be holidays for another week, that's 3 weeks. So if that's kind of been a central source of where a lot of stuff comes, it's cool, but it's going to be an ebb and flow kind of scenario.
Sure.
So it's very, very difficult to control. So that's kind of number one. Now, with having, a lead generation tool, ads online, ads offline, you're doing it, you're filling in those holes to keep consistency. Yeah. So consistency is very important in marketing. And let me kind of set that up, which kind of goes to the part two to this. Part two is, if you're not driving leads, if you're not driving traffic, if you're not doing any of that and you're only relying on word of mouth, well, guess what? Somebody else is going to control the marketplace. And then for you to try to break into that marketplace, it's very, very difficult. My big company isn't just the only events company. They're one of the big guys, but, there's other big guys there as well. And I always think about it like this, does Coca-Cola continuously advertise? And they do, right? Yes. Why do they do that? It's not that they're bigger than Pepsi, but Pepsi's happy to take 2 to 3 to 5% of that market share because it's millions and millions of dollars worth of business for Pepsi. Now, does everybody know who Coke is? Yes. Does everyone know McDonald's is? Probably. I don't know, maybe the Maasai Warriors know who McDonald's is. Like everybody's heard of Coca-Cola. They know that more than they do the Pope. It's crazy, right? So why? Because they've advertised that much. Do they need more market share? Well, I think they're up and down. Does everybody know Red Bull? Well, if you watched any sport today, it's Red Bull, and they advertise continuously because there's other products that can do it. So, that's on a big scale, but on a small scale, you can imagine if you're the local kitchen maker, or you're the local, web designer, or you're the local accountant, whatever it may be, it's the same thing. If somebody else comes into that, then you're no longer that local guy. No one knows who you are once again. So it's important to do it. So, avoids ebb and flow and suppose controls market.
Yeah.
So,
and for people that are thinking about that, think about, if you listen to the radio, if you turn on a television, there's probably, certain companies that are doing the same sort of thing in your area. Bunnings is a good example. They don't stop. Harvey Norman or Domain, they have Domain in different parts of the country. They don't stop. There's always, have you ever noticed with Harvey Norman, there's like a different type of sale every other week. It could be furniture, and then it's rugs, and then it's like kitchenware, and then it's TVs. Like there's always something going on.
Because they're teaching people, right? I mean, that's very important. I mean, they're creating habits of people going, I can go down to these guys anytime that I want and get some type of sale discount. But guess what? This product at the moment is on sale. So I didn't really need it maybe, or you wouldn't believe it, the fridge just broke down yesterday.
Yes.
And yes, I'll go and need it, and,
Yeah, I call that with my clients the squeaky wheel principle. How are we constantly just saying, hi, 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 we're still here, just the squeaky wheel, because the squeaky wheel gets the oil eventually. So it's just
I love that. That's a really good way to look at it, Chris.
Yeah.
It's completely that. It's it's the consistency, which I'm going to sort of talk a bit more about.
Carry on.
So part 3, I think, is you can control quality and you can control volume. So with the referral side of it, you don't know. Somebody said, hey, my girlfriend needs a kitchen, and, but maybe they're not the type of kitchen. They need a plumber, and, you're going to go and change a tap, but you're a commercial plumber that you don't really do that, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so the quality of the lead, even though it's a referral, it's really cool, but does it align with, the business that you operate currently?
Yes. Yep.
And today I have to say, there's no guarantee on, quality. There's no guarantee on that the referral is 100% going to be turned into a lead. Because today the client's educated, even though they've been given you as a referral, you still need to compete on price and on service as well. Back in the day, he's the only guy. That's where you went. Even if he wasn't the best, but your mate said they were cool, that's where you'd go. But today, different story.
Sure.
It's not that. So I think controlling the volume and controlling the quality is very, very, very important, because you want good quality leads, not, a whole bunch of referrals or, word of mouth. They're not your ideal client, but you have to deal with them because somebody sent you that referral, and you kind of got to be cool, and, you don't want to give them the shit, and it's all of that stuff, right? So once again, with lead flow online, offline, and you can absolutely start to attract the client that you want. I'm not saying that they're going to be perfect leads every time. Far from it, to be brutally honest. I think you need to sift through the leads to get to the goals. Right. But that's with everything, right?
Yeah. I want to highlight a word you mentioned just a second ago. Work with the clients you want to. That's powerful. A lot of the time people are working with the leads they have. Why don't we shift that and work with the types of clients or types of prospects that we want to work with? And we can definitely do that with different online, offline campaigns or strategies. Chase the type of client that you actually like doing business with.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I just had a referral from one of my clients, and he rang me. He said, "Mate, would you work with this type of client?" And I said, "Yeah, how big are they? Blah, blah, blah." And, and the big are they isn't because, the bigger the client, it's not that. But, we've got a kind of bit of a threshold there that we look at, and it's no use working with a client that's 150 grand we can't do anything with, So, and they're just not our ideal client. We choose who we want to work with. So, I looked them up, to just check out their website. The intro was done. We're sort of backwards and forwards now. We're going to probably have a discussion tomorrow and go that way. So, and he said, I just want to make sure I'm cool before I send you that referral, because if not, I won't make, And I said, he said, how do you want to do it? I said, I just make an intro for me on email, and then, I'll take it from there and keep you in the loop and stuff. So, I think qualifying the client like that, needs to 100% be in a position that you're able to, make sure that they're the ideal client that you want to work with. Because it's no use me going to him, send it to me, and then I can't do anything with it. He might be upset that I wasn't able to do it, but I promised him that I would. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes from there.
Right. So finding out a bit more about this prospect before you go jumping in.
I think that's very important, right? So, and once again, you can control that, especially through lead flow.
Yes, you can.
You can make them jump through some hoops before, you actually engage with them.
Yeah, or you can alter the messaging to attract that different type.
Correct.
Client.
Once again, just so everyone's clear, I wish I could go there. The ideal leads all the time, perfect. You're only going to get high quality leads at low cost. Because I'd be lying to you. It doesn't work like that. You got to take the good with the bad, and hopefully, you end up with good rather than bad. That's right. That's how it works. But that's the same with the referral or word of mouth too.
I think so too.
It's a lead at the end of the day.
Yes.
Now,
What's next?
the next one is you're able to control costs, and you're able to control consistency. So cost and consistency are really important because, even though that we think that word of mouth does not cost us any money to get that client, well, the truth of the matter is it actually does, because it costs you time, energy and effort, and all of those type of things that come from that. Now, is it costing you maybe money? Well, if you're going to go and see somebody, you probably got to go in the car and see if they're the right client. So it's going to cost you time and petrol and all that stuff. So don't fool yourself to think that you're never going to because the client isn't costing you any money because somebody gave you a referral, that it doesn't cost you money. It absolutely costs you. And if it doesn't cost you money, it's going to cost you time. So, either which way, somewhere it's going to cost you, right? So, and this is why I think, if you can control the cost, if you can go, hey, guess what? It's going to be, I don't know, $50 a lead and, $500 a conversion. Now you can, if you can repeat it, $50 a lead, 500 a conversion, 10% conversion, you can start to control that. So, for you to then be able to, have consistency in the business, it's cool, because then it also gives you a budget to work towards. So you might go, all right, I've got, $2,000 a month. I know I can probably get 4 conversions at $2,000. And if I want 5 or 6 or 7 conversions or whatever it may be, then you need to spend some more money. Like you've got to think about it from that point of view as well.
Yep.
Right? So then you can also measure what your budgets are, because most people in marketing do what? I'll just throw $200 to it. I'm like, what's $200 going to do? I'm like, you need probably $50 a day to test. Yeah. That's $1,500 a month just to test it, plus management. So get ready for $2,500, but you'll know in a month how those leads are going. You can't do it on $5 a day. You can't. I mean, I don't know anyone that can do it. Maybe
I don't know anyone.
Prove me wrong and call me, please, if you can. Quality leads, not clicks, or likes. I'm talking quality leads with, so once again, just you can really manage, the costs and the consistency of what's coming through. That's very, very important, because you want to be consistent. No airball flow. It needs to be like this. Now, some people go, Nick, I've got too many leads. Now, I don't know if that's a bad thing. I reckon that's a good thing, because what does that tell you? Well, maybe you can start to scale, or maybe, you can start to put other positions in place to be able to help with that. Or guess what? Maybe you can sell those leads. Maybe you can outsource it like this other company's doing, for kitchens as an example, and, retaining walls and roofing and all of that stuff. And it's not their central core business, but guess what? They get a percentage of each one of those guys for passing on the lead. The third-party referral company is very happy. They're getting work that they wouldn't have got. Yeah. We manage the entire process, so the only time they need to do it is to go in for an inspection to see what they need to do and write the quote, and the rest we do. So, there's a lot of benefits to that. They don't have to do that much work to be able to get the client. They're not spending money on marketing. So what we've done is, with those surplus of leads, we've opened up 2 divisions that are now another 2 to 3 income sources, right? This is pretty incredible. And guess what? That company doesn't even manage the lead. We've actually third-partied that company's lead management to somebody else that calls them, emails them, sets up the appointment, deals with the third-party referral company, deals with the client for them, and they're still profitable, highly profitable.
Wow.
It's the coolest, right? So now you could tack on a business arm that's complementary to yours that you weren't maybe doing before, and you don't have to do a lot of work to get another level of income through, right? And once again, you can manage how much the outflow is versus the inflow. You don't cost me $200 to get them. If I get a $400 referral fee, you've just doubled your money. It's pretty good when you walk in the casino with a $50 and come out with 100.
Yeah, that's right. I like the word you mentioned back there, which was budget, because sometimes people throw money willy-nilly into marketing every year. They don't really measure what the return is, but they, in most cases, don't necessarily assign a limit, which ultimately is your budget. So I think once you start to, like you said, maybe test and measure over a 30-day period, maybe longer, that's going to give you an ideal form of spend or what you can
Very
afford to
often.
spend.
I reckon 30 to 50% of businesses don't have any idea with that.
No.
You know, we hired a BDM, he was 120 grand and he did nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
there's
you'll
your
see
budget.
the
You know
word
what I mean?
advertising on someone's profit and loss, or we do. And you go, great, you know, how have you measured this against what you've got back in business? And they're like, not really. I've just paid the Google guy or paid the
Well, yeah, exactly.
paid the Facebook guy. I'm like, right. So I think being very careful about what you're willing to spend, but knowing your return is critically important.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at some of our assets this morning, like I told you, we're probably delivering lead flow from 10 different places, including social media, including the call center, including, you know, third-party lead generator, including all of this stuff. And I reckon between all of those assets, it's, you know, eight to 10,000 a month. 8 to 10 grand a month is a lot of money for people, me inclusive.
Yeah.
But that 8 to 10 grand a month, you know, hopefully with all the assets combined, you know, we'll sign up 50 to 70 new clients. That's our target. So when you look at that from a return on investment, you know, technically 100 out with 2.8 million back. Has that been a good investment? The answer is bloody oath it is. Now, I wish it's all profit. It isn't. You know, 20% of that's hopefully profit, but, you know, there's running costs, there's, you know, operational costs, wages, you know, all of the shit that businesses are. But the key, what I'm talking about here is, you know, which kind of leads me to my final point, is from a scalability point of view. Now you can scale your business accordingly. You don't have to wait on a referral or a review or a you know, third party. Now you know the budgets. You know what the conversion rates are. You know the sources that are doing well for you. You can complement it with the, you know, the referral or word of mouth lead flow that you're getting. But now you can start to build and scale. So, you know, for businesses that want to go to that next level, what do? Ask more people, more word of mouth. Sooner or later, they're going, dude, I've given you the two that I know. I don't know anyone else. Like, you know, and it's the same with us. Not all the 10 sources are going to give you the fruit. Some we're just planting so they look good. You know, other fruit, other seeds take a while before the plant grows, you know, our magazine, you know, but once the plant grows, hopefully we'll be able to be consistent fruit every year if we look after that, you know, the quality magazine. And marketing is very much like planting a seed. You know, you don't put the seed in as soon as it comes out of the ground, you harvest it. You don't. You let it grow into a good, strong tree. It takes a while. You'll get a bit of fruit along the way, but once it goes, then we're good, man, because then every year, fruit. And what's that? That's SEO. You know, so when you look at it, you know, we've got SEO, we've got Insta, we've got Facebook, we've got Insta ads, Facebook ads, you got LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn's okay for us, but it's not amazing. You know, you've got SEO, it's been okay, but not amazing. We've got the website, we've got there's all of these key areas that we've got, but then we run ads to the magazine. We've got Google ads, we've got YouTube, we've got, hopefully we're going to do ads there. We've got Buck. So some of them already established trees to give you the fruit. But from a scalability point of view, if I want to go from 7 conversions a month to 14, well, I need to spend more on ads. Like organically, it's very difficult to do it. And what's the story with businesses right now? The story of businesses right now is you need the shit now. Yeah, you can't afford to go, wait 5 years before the fruit, you know, grows. You can't. You need. So that's what ads does. Ads is like having an instant, you know, orchard of plants that you can start getting straight away. And it's called Facebook, Insta, Google, SEO marketplaces, you know, like a website marketplaces. So, and, you know, then obviously with organic, it's cool. Organic's cool if you're selling, I don't know, pet collars and shit like that. But some people get it because they've spent the money, they've spent the time, they've built a pretty good sizable key area, and then they're cool. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm saying if you want to get to market, I should have added this as number 6. If you want to get to marketplace very quickly, it's the only way. The only way. I'm not going to say any other way. It's the only way.
Yes. I've got a client right now I'm thinking of that we really want to start propelling his lead gen side of things pretty quickly. And again, the only way that I've suggested that we can actually do that with any real, I'll call it precision, meaning knowing what we're spending, knowing what we're getting as a return, and knowing what our revenue back will be, is going to be through Google ad traffic, and understanding that that is the medium. We just need to invest because, based on historically working with other clients and seeing what, what Google Ads can actually provide for his business, particularly Google Ads is going to be the best form. We need to press play and make it swift.
Well, it's interesting, people then also, because you said something obviously with Google Ads, but people also then believe that it's the only way that it could possibly be is Google's going to be that perfect. We set it up, and it isn't. They've got a use by date. They've got an expiry date. That all ads have. Because people kind of get sick of seeing them, so you got to freshen them up, keep them interesting, change up the offers, and that could be another session for us to talk about. But I think it's important for that. So
yeah, okay, good. I mean, this guy's in his early stages. We're just trying to get the big wheel spinning, so it's perfect for him.
Absolutely,
I agree. If you've got an established business and you've been putting money into Google for 5 years, it's probably a decision as to whether that's paying off or whether you need to revise your strategy around that, which is true.
Yeah.
Nick, did you want to fire through those points again so that we get a really good summary of where things are at for today?
So number one, you get to control the ebb and flow, which is really important. Number two, you get to control, quality and volume. Very, very important.
Yes.
Number three, I suppose what happens is you're going to get consistency and costing.
Yes.
Very, very important. And then, you're going to be able to scale it efficiently, which is kind of cool. And budget, you can start to set budgets in with that, which is cool.
Yeah, right. Good. I think the point that we're really putting forward here today is by leveraging other lead flow sources, you're actually able to control your lead flow in general with much greater attention to detail. And I like what you mentioned before about if your referral sources or your word of mouth connections or contacts that are providing those leads to you, if they stop, then you're potentially shortchanged and you might be in some real trouble. So by having greater control over the other lead source, and you don't need to have 10 like we have, you might have 3. You might have 2 offline and lean on your word of mouth, and that's it. And that might work for your business.
Yeah, exactly. And just to sort of, add to that, it's not that all 10 are fruitful. Like I said, some aren't, some aren't. And sometimes the ones that you thought were fruitful, the plant's a bit tired, so it won't give you the fruit. That's how it works. So we don't leave it once again to whatever, and we'll see whatever happens. We're like, all right, let's shift them around to be cool. And I think what's really important, this doesn't have to be an either or. It's not, we could do word of mouth and we don't do ads, or we do ads and don't worry about the word of mouth. It's complementary to both. All you're doing is filling in the gaps and then be able to scale. That's it.
Yep.
Now, if you've got an unlimited word of mouth source, it costs you no money to be able to do it. It's absolutely incredible, and you can't take on any more work and do all of that. Well, stop watching this podcast. Go to the beach, man.
I have a builder right now who has enough work till the end of next year. So he's definitely telling some of his architects, hey, I actually can't take on any more. And he's in a position where scaling isn't a necessity for the table right now. So, good for him. He won't have to listen to this. He knows who he is. For anyone else.
It's really, really good. But once again, does the, 3 interest rate rises are coming, people slow down, and then you haven't gotten your marketplace because you've been too cool with that side of things, referring leads, and then you now have to compete against somebody that had a trickle kind of effect happening, with that, and now you're to buying the 8 ball. You're trying to get market penetration.
Yeah. I will mention as well, I say to all of my clients, never, ever, ever stop marketing or advertising. It's something that you will constantly do, the whole squeaky wheel effect, because trying to build momentum around lead generation when you've stopped it or turned off the tap is really hard, because you've got to develop that traction again. You've got to develop that brand presence again. People that you have been reaching out to for a long time and you stopped, they forget about you, they move on. Like you used Coca-Cola as the reference before. Perfect analogy. Sideline advice, I guess, to this is don't ever stop the lead gen or the marketing. Just keep
Don't ever stop the lead gen marketing.
Yeah. Very good. Any final words, Nick?
No, I think marketing is really good for your business. Don't be the world's best kept secret.
Don't be the world's best kept secret. That's That's golden. Guys, if you need any help with this or have any questions, shoot them through to ask@upcoach.com.au. And we'll see you all again for another episode of Coaching Conversations again next week. Bye now.
Bye now.